Welcome back to Learn Astrology with Mary. My name's Mary English. You can find me at www.maryenglish.com, maryenglish.co.uk and UK Astrologer. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm maryenglish.co.uk. Anyway, hello, how are you? Now this week I thought I'd go through the chart of what was, back in the day, a rather famous French singer, and she's only just died, so she died on the 11th of June. And what sparked my interest in her at all, I mean, apart from that she was a singer, so I'd be reasonably interested in that anyway, because she sang folk ballads. I hadn't heard of her until she passed, so there we go. But not only was she a singer, but she was into astrology as well. And that, when I just thought I saw one line somewhere in the news, let's go and investigate that. So it isn't often that somebody will be a famous singer and also have an interest in astrology. And also, I think she wrote 4 books on astrology. So there we go. We're going to be talking about a young lady who was young. She's not young when she died. She was in her 80s. Françoise Hardy. And you'll have to excuse my French pronunciation. But anyway, so we're going to be looking at her chart, and we're going to be looking at some solar arcs, and we're going to look at some transits, and we're going to be discussing her chart today. Now, there are absolutely billions of charts that I could create, because when somebody's lived to be at least 80, they're going to have had in their lives an awful lot happen. But let's kick off with her natal chart, which we're going to do, and then we're going to do about, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to do 5 other charts. Okay, so let's kick off with her natal chart. So let me just tell you a little bit about her. So she was born on the 17th of January 1944, and she was a French singer, songwriter and actress, mainly known for singing melancholic, sentimental ballads. She rose to prominence in the early 1960s as a leading figure of the Yeah wave, and went on to become a cultural icon both in France and internationally. In addition to her native French, she also sang in English, Italian and German, and her musical career spanned more than 50 years with over 30 studio albums released. So we've got somebody who was definitely firmly entrenched into her career, and let's have a look at her chart. So 17th of January 1944, 9:30 p.m. she's born in Paris, so Paris, and we've got a Virgo ascendant, and we've got Chiron pretty near to the ascendant. It's less than 3 degrees apart, and she did have quite a sad childhood. She's a Virgo ascendant, Sun Capricorn, and the Sun is very much definitely in the 5th house. So a person, regardless of their sun sign, if their sun is in the 5th is happy to have the sun there, so it does like to shine. And she was shy, and she was quiet, she wasn't noisy. However, she didn't seem to have an issue with being able to perform. I mean, probably she was nervous as anybody would be, but she had a career being in the public eye, and that would suit a sun in the 5th house, regardless of what sign the sun is in. Now, she's got moon in Libra, so we've got sun and moon square, which isn't very helpful, because it can mean that the person works against themselves a tad. And she's got Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, and the Mercury's retrograde in the 4th house. With the Virgo ascendant, it's the ruling planet to the chart. And when Virgo's in the when Mercury's in the 4th, there's going to be something to do with the childhood, which is a bit sad, but I'll read that to you in just a tad. And she's got Mars conjunct to the MC, so the MC is the career, and Mars is there, and she had a very active career. I found a quote on YouTube, and it was just seconds of David Bowie saying that he was in love with her, and everybody that he knew was in love with her, because she was a very attractive lady. So no problems there with how she looked and the fact that everybody fell in love with her. So actually, I don't know what that must be like if you're a person that people fall in love with you all the time. But anyway, I'll come on to that in a bit more. So the ruling planet of the chart is in the 4th, so the home, the roots, etc. are going to be important for her. She does also have Neptune in the 1st house. It's nowhere near the ascendant, but it is in the 1st, and people that have Neptune there can be a little bit more sensitive to other people and other things, and her Neptune is retrograde. In fact, she's got quite a lot of retrograde planets: Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. So there's quite a bundle of retrograde planets in a chart. But looking at the aspects, apart from the Sun and Moon square, there's not too much else that's square. There's quite a lot of trines, and she's got a grand trine, I think, that's all in air. Is that right? Except the Sun's in Earth. Mary got that wrong. How are we doing a trine then? So the Sun's trine to Mars. Sun's in Capricorn, trine to Mars. Oh, we're doing a maths thing here, not an element, aren't we? Well, okay, so that's a maths thing, because her Mars is 5 degrees. Oh, and her Sun's a very late degree. Okay, well, we'll let the mathematics off. And then the other square is from the Moon to Mercury, and then Mercury to Neptune. But, oh, one more square, Jupiter to Uranus. But it's predominantly, the thing that stands out to me is there's a lot of trines. So Sun trine Mars, Sun trine Uranus, Sun trine Neptune, Moon trine Saturn. You can look at the chart, I'll put it on the show notes, I don't need to read them all out. Chart shape wise, what are we? We could be a seesaw, 3 to 7. We could be a locomotive. We're not a splash or a splay. So it's going to be one or the other, either a seesaw or a locomotive, because it's quite an uneven energy in the chart there, even though there's a hell of a lot of trines going on. But anyone with a Virgo ascendant is going to be, inverted commas, modest, more modest outwardly to other people, and it's an ascendant sign that isn't going to rush in there. It's going to stand back a bit and worry about stuff and be considerate of things and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, etc. That Chiron is very near to the ascendant, isn't it? Okay, so that's a quick skip around her natal chart. So she was born and raised in Paris, early life, blah, 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 blah. And then let me just find the bit that tells us. So we've got, at the time of her birth, there was an air raid alert in place with the windows of the clinic exploding. She related being born during this violent context with the abnormally anxious temperament that she developed as an adult. Her mother, Madeleine Hardy, who came from an ordinary background, raised Francois and her sister Michelle, who was born 18 months after her, as a single parent. Her dad, a married man, this complicates things. Madeleine raised her daughter strictly. Hardy said she had an unhappy and troubled childhood and mainly engaged in solitary activities like reading, playing with dolls or listening to the radio. They sent her to a Catholic school. Oh, that's a killer, isn't it? She recalled in her autobiography, "This is most likely where the feeling of shame that has tormented me non-stop since I was a child took root. Everything fell into place. The social status of my parents, who I naively believed were divorced. The good sister's constant complaints that my father was generally a year behind in his payments, and the various differences with the other girls." So getting sent to a Catholic school, and it sounds as if she was a resident there. What do you call it? You live in boarding or something. I haven't heard anybody talk. Oh, one lady I know went to a Catholic school and loved it, but she must be the only person I've ever met in my whole life that had fun in a Catholic school. So her maternal grandmother constantly told her repeatedly that she was unattractive and a very bad person. That's not really going to set you up to a marvellous life. Anyway, the major thing that happened was her sister, where are we now? So raised without the affection of their parents, Hardy's sister grew up to be suicidal and developed paranoid schizophrenic tendencies. In late May 2004, she was found dead at her home in L'Heureux, don't know how to pronounce that, possibly by suicide. So I thought it'd be interesting, since we're doing solar arcs. So I've got two charts here I'm going to share. One is the solar arc and the other is the transits. And yes, something does show up. So on the solar arc chart, which I'm going to do first, so there's 18 months between them. I couldn't find a sister's date of birth. I wasn't going to go into that, otherwise this podcast has gone for about a zillion years. So in the solar arc, we've got the degree is 60, because this is Francois was born on the 17th of January 1944, and then the sister dies on, hold on, let me just get the date again. So the sister dies on the 18th of March 1940, what am I saying? Dies on the 18th of May 2004. Now the solar arc will give us the date 18th of March 1944, because we're just doing the degrees because it's 1 day for every year of 1 degree for every year of life. Okay, don't ask me to do maths because I can't work it out. And the thing that stood out for me was when she was born. This is Francois now. When she was born, she had Venus 17 degrees Saggy. And by the time she gets to her sister passing, the moon is now, so Venus is 17 degrees 33 and the moon is 18 degrees. So the moon is just a fraction past her Venus. So I was thinking, oh, that's interesting. And the moon has now solar arced into her 4th house of home and roots. And as I say, I haven't checked her sister chart, so I don't know what sign of the zodiac her sister was. But we've got the moon, which is our feelings, and Venus, which is love, and we've got something horrible happening. And then natally, her Pluto is 7 degrees Leo, and solar arc Mars is now 6 degrees, and Uranus is 5 degrees. So they're not exactly conjunct, but they're pretty close. But the thing that stood out for me most was the moon and Venus and 4th house. The 4th house is home and roots and family and stuff. So that's the solar arc. Now on the transits, so how would that have affected Francois? What's going on for her at the time? The moon was in Taurus on that date, and Jupiter is pretty near to her ascendant. So when she was born, she had, this is Francois, when she was born, she had Jupiter retrograde in the 12th. People with Jupiter retrograde in the 12th can lack self-confidence because the 12th is what we hide from others. But transiting Jupiter is now 9 degrees and her ascendant is 12 degrees. So Jupiter's pretty near to the ascendant. So it could be that Jupiter is, in inverted commas, a nice death in the sense that it's an end of suffering. But equally, the other transit that's happening is transiting Pluto is now 21 degrees Saggy, and natally her Venus is 17 Saggy in the 4th house. So on solar arc, we've got the moon near enough conjuncting Venus in the 4th. Now Pluto has transited and is conjuncting. It's not exactly conjunct, it's only a few degrees apart, and it's retrograding the 4th house of home, roots and family, etc. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So, you know, and also, oh yeah, and the other thing is that transiting Chiron is pretty much conjunct to her sun sign. So I haven't got any quotes for her, from her. I'm not even going to dig those out, otherwise it's going to be the most depressing episode ever. But we've got transiting Chiron is 25 degrees Capricorn, and her sun sign is 26 degrees Capricorn, and Chiron is retrograding. So, and she's born with Chiron very near to the ascendant. So that's another inverted commas wound, because she's had quite a few. I'm surprised she even had a career at all, considering the quite a lot of the things that happened to her. But anyway, that's her sister's passing. Okay. Now I couldn't find the exact date. I probably didn't search deeply enough to find the exact date of when her first album was released, but we know, the internet knows, that it was November 1962. So we can do the transits for that. So her career started to take off in, we've got a date there, 14th of May 1961, where she did an audition. I think the first song was Oh Oh Cherie, and then she signed on the 14th of November 1961. She signed a 1-year contract. Again, I haven't done that date, but it was the album being released that had the biggest impact, because she's already, bubbling around in the background, sort of getting reasonably well, and then the album's called Tout le garçon et la fille, which translated into English, remind myself, is something to do with garçon is boys and fille I think is girls. Hold on. All the boys and girls is the literal translation, and it's quite a sad song. So in the song she's walking along and she's seeing people walking hand in hand, and she's not hand in hand, and she hates herself and blah blah blah, and she'll never find a partner, and it's the saddest song ever. I don't know why I'm laughing, but it really is a sad song. So obviously that's going to resonate with an awful lot of people, and when you're single, it's like everybody's in a relationship. When you're single, especially when you've just been dumped, you'll notice nothing but people walking around holding, in hand. Anyway, that song, which was part of the album, that pipped her into stardom, fame, whatever you want to call it. And because we're now into the 60s, so we've got Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, blah blah blah, all of this, everybody fell in love with her, la 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 la, and her career really took off. Now, I'm not going to discuss everything to do with her career, because it's a complex career and there was a lot that went on, but I thought the first album, I haven't got the exact date, but we know it's November. What could possibly be going on for her that would have been so, inverted commas, life-changing for her? So her sister dies, Jupiter goes over the ascendant. That ascendant of hers is very sensitive, because it's not just the ascendant, we've got Chiron on it as well, very, very close, less than 3 degrees away from the ascendant. So now she's hitting fame, and her ascendant is, and the chart's pretty accurate actually, the ascendant is 12 degrees Virgo, transiting Pluto is now 11 degrees and 40 minutes into Virgo. So while the beginning part of her career takes off, and that is deep transformation. So she comes from a family, goes to a Catholic school, dad's an idiot, has married loads of other people, blah, 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 horrible childhood, sister kills herself. Mother doesn't sound much fun either, brought up in a Catholic school, and now she's she sort of got adopted by this woman that really thought that she could do it, because the previous woman, some other woman that she worked with, thought she was rubbish. But she's now got somebody that's backing her and helping her and teaching her to sing, etc. And very successful. That was at the right place, right time. So Pluto is now going over ascendant. And what, inverted commas, was nice about her fame, etc., she didn't completely fall apart with it. Yes, she had a lot of health issues. That can be a Virgo ascendant thing. So Virgo as a sign on the ascendant are going to be more concerned with their health anyway. And also I sort of consider, is all the trauma that people happen, does that then affect the people physically? And the answer to that, yes, I know it does. But anyway, so Uranus is nowhere near the ascendant at that point, but Uranus is over the next few years going to go over the ascendant as well. But at the moment of the first album being released, Pluto pachang is smacked on there, and transiting Mars, which is another very active planet, transiting Mars is 9 degrees into Leo, and her natal Pluto is 7 degrees Leo, and her Pluto's in her 11th house of friends and groups and whatever. So Mars is doing a nice thing. Transiting Moon, I'm not going to take into account because I haven't got the exact date. Venus is retrograding in Scorpio, which probably would have done that whole month. Saturn is has been transiting through her 5th house and is still doing that. So it was going through the sign of Capricorn, which is happy for her because that's her ruling planet. Now it's in the sign of Aquarius. It's still in her 5th house, creativity, romance, la la la. And the North Node has now made a complete circuit. So in 1962, she's now 18, and the North Node has returned. And the North Node is our life purpose and Pachang. I think transiting North Node is natally 6, and at that precise month it's 3, so it's not far away. So at 18 is when her career, which is ever so young for somebody to hit the big time. But yeah, so North Node is returning, and the North Node takes 18.6 years approximately to go all the way around. So yeah, Leo is the sign of performing in front of other people, etc. So that's probably a nice thing to happen when you're just about to hit success. So let's go a little bit further on. So we've got, so this is all the singing career now. So let me just go back to the astrology, because that's what piqued me when I first read the, let me go on because I'm using Wikipedia, which you can ping over there and you can see. So that's acting career, astrological career. So in addition to music, Hardy developed a career as an astrologer, having written extensively on the subject. She aligns, that should be in the past and she's now past, I might have to edit that. She aligned herself with the so-called conditionalist school of thought outlined by Jean-Pierre Nicola in his 1964 book La Condition Solaire, so that's the condition of the sun, which puts forward a non-divinatory character of the discipline and considers that it should be used taking into account other factors such as hereditary, education and socio-cultural determinants. Hardy wrote about her distrust of most astrologers and of predictive astrology, explaining, quote, "I believe this human science is restricted to offering information on one of the many factors that conditions our lives, the one connected with the rhythms of our solar system. It simply allows us to get our bearings and identify as best we can the various phases of our development, which are dependent on many more factors than just planetary cycles and configurations, and does not necessarily translate into terms of particular events and outcomes." So that's an interesting statement. And it says here that she first became, I hate it when they use people's surnames. First name's Francois and they keep calling her Hardy. I absolutely hate that. But anyway, Hardy first became interested in the practice after consulting astrologer André Barboul in the mid-1960s. She took public courses, learned to draw up a birth chart and read many specialised books before meeting Catherine Aubière, who recommended her professor to Hardy. Hardy was then taught traditional astrology for 2 years by Madame Godefroy in Paris. She became more dedicated to astrology after meeting Nicola in late 74, who contacted her to be part of a new magazine he was developing. The singer described Nicola as the best astrologer in the world and wrote, "He initiated me into an intelligent understanding of astrology and trained me to use it by his side to the best of my ability." Besides astrology, Hardy was initiated into reading of the Tarot of Marseille by Andranjo Jodorowsky. As a complement to her astrological knowledge, she also took courses with graphologist Germaine Trippier, the Dean of the French Society of Graphology. Between recordings of her album Gin Tonic in 1979, Hardy was asked by Nicola to collaborate on a collection on the zodiac signs launched by Teshoo Editions, being tasked with writing the book dedicated to Virgo. That book's still available, and I went to have a look to see if it was the last copy just got snapped up, so there's not many copies of that left. Well, there's none in the UK, they're all in France. Since she had no time to write the book herself, she shared her work with fellow astrologer Beatrice Guanin. She also collaborated with a magazine called Quin's Ons, and in late 1980 Hardy was contacted by Pierre Lescure of the RMC radio station, and she did a daily horoscope as well as a weekly show, and she asked Nicola to help her so as to aid him financially. That's funny English. In 1982, Hardy began a new weekly broadcast entitled Entre la Ligne, Entre la Scène, in which she interviewed a film or music figure using their birth chart, whilst graphologist Anne-Marie Simond, whose courses she'd taken as well, drew up their psychological portrait using their handwriting. The two of them wrote a book under the same title, and in 1990 she continued her astrological work by writing articles in the Swiss newspaper Le Matin and hosting a weekly selection. Can't pronounce all those names. On the 7th of May 2003, Hardy released Les Rhythmes du Zodiac, which she conceived as a book that would allow me to make my little contribution to modern astrology. The making of the book was a laborious and stressful process that took Hardy over 2 years to write. Tell me about it. My first book took me 2 years to write and is nowhere as big as hers. So, now, I won't go through this Nicola's chart because Astro Data Bank he's altered his chart. So we've got his, because he's born in France, it's going to be his blinking birth certificate. But he's jiggled it and he's changed himself from having a Cancer ascendant to a Gemini ascendant. Don't know why. But anyway, he was a sun sign Taurus, so sun and moon in Taurus, was born on a new moon. But that was the person that taught him what I thought would be interesting, to look at the synastry with this Barbu fella, because that's who she had her first reading with. So I thought what I'd go through with you today is the synastry between the two of them. And I've got it both ways up. So I've got Barbu on the inside and Francois on the outside, and then Barbu on the outside and Francois on the inside. So I've got it both ways around. Andre is his first name. Now I'm sure he wrote a book. Yes, so Andre Barbu wrote a book called The Value of Astrology, because I was thinking, I'm sure I've seen that in the Astrological Journal more than once. And it's also on the Astrological Association's website. Obviously some person has translated it into English. But anyway, he was an astrologer, and I know a lot of people value his astrology, but trust me, I don't know an awful lot about him. Okay, so I apologise profusely to anybody that knows a lot about him, but I don't. Anyway, what I was interested in is that what was it for her? She's having this reading. What was going on between the two of them? So I've managed to create these two lovely synastry charts. So I'll start off with Francois in the middle and Andre on the outside. So, wow, so before we even kick off, they've both got the same moon signs. They've both got moon in Libra. So he's a sun Libra, moon Libra. So he's born in a new moon, just like your other fella who's Nicola chap. But he's a sun Libra, and his ascendant, hold on, I'm going to put my head around the other way now. His ascendant is Aquarius. Okay, so he's interested in whatever is new and different. So with the synastry, I looked at that and I went, sorry, excuse me, I'm making a noise. So Andre's north node, okay, so this is his north node, his life purpose is, oh no, what are the degrees? Hold on, let me just do the maths. The charts are up on the show notes. His north node, we get the exact maths, is 18 degrees Libra and 1 minute. And her moon is 17 degrees Libra and 37 minutes. So his north node goes slap bang onto her moon. So I would have thought if you meet someone and their north node is that near to your moon's how you feel, there's going to be some sort of impact. And then also because he's got the sun and moon and Jupiter in Libra, okay, I think his Saturn's in Libra, beg your pardon. No, Jupiter's in Libra. His Saturn's just gone into Virgo, okay. So he's got 3 planets in Libra. She's got moon in Libra. She's got her Neptune 4 degrees Libra. He's got his sun 7 degrees and his moon 9 degrees. And then his Jupiter 1 degree. So we're talking about it's not going to be something that's insignificant. And then he's got Moon and Mars in Venus, which fall into her 12th house. I don't think there was anything else that was massively as important than that, but I just thought, oh, that's so interesting that his north node's so near to her moon, less than a degree. Now, if we do it the other way around, so Andre's on the inside, she's on the outside, so I don't know, I presume back in the day they didn't have the internet, so you'd have a astrological read with some, you'd probably go to their office or their house or wherever it is, and you'd have a physical consultation. So she walks in the room, it's like, what's the impact for him? Now nothing pings onto his ascendant. Well, I've just told you where the astrology is, but her ascendant falls into his 7th house of close personal relationships, and her Chiron slips in there as well. And then, as I say, her moon goes on to his north node, and her Venus falls onto his MC. So from his point of view, the impact is on the right hand side of his charts. The majority of her planets are, there's a bunch of them on the right of his chart, so that's other people the right, whilst for her his planets are on the left of her chart, so that's, you know, how we tackle life, etc. And his Pluto is directly opposite her, because he's got Pluto is 10 degrees Cancer and her Mercury is 8 degrees, so we've got a big sort of Pluto Mercury opposition and stuff. So I haven't got the date that she went for that reading, so no idea on transits, but I just thought synastry wise, it's like I was looking at that north node thinking, ooh, quite a lot going on there. And Capricorn and Libra are cardinal signs, but if you meet somebody that's got the same moon sign as yourself, generally it's a happy day when that happens, obviously depending on what sun sign the person is and the other combos of their chart. So we've got one more chart to do. So this now is the chart of her passing. So she dies on the 11th. She's had a number of things wrong with her. I think she had a fall and she broke various things here and there. And the day that she dies, the moon is 14 degrees Leo and her natal Pluto is 7 degrees Leo. And don't forget, when we were talking about at the beginning, like when her career takes off and stuff, we've got stuff going on with Pluto. So the moon dies on Pluto, on her natal Pluto's in the 11th. The transiting sun is exactly conjunct to her Saturn. Her Saturn's retrograde, 20 degrees Gemini, and the sun is 20 degrees Gemini. And if we've got a person that's got sun in the 5th house, so that's some sort of Leo influence going on. So the moon's in Leo, the transiting sun is exactly conjunct to Saturn, Saturn's career. I think it was announced on Twitter, don't quote me, or it might have been Instagram, her son, because she had a kiddie, I think she had a couple of kiddies, I can't remember, but he made the announcement to say that she'd passed. So the Sun, Mercury and Venus are all on Saturn in the 10th. So for her, what was that like? I don't know, I can't remember what they said she died of. 1 minute. Oh, she died of laryngeal cancer, so that's cancer of the throat, and she was a singer, but she'd also had several falls and bone fractures and stuff. I'm not going to go into the whole astrology of what her health might have been like, but transiting Jupiter's pretty near to her MC, so transiting Jupiter is 3 degrees and her MC is 7 degrees, so we've got a passing that isn't insignificant and is going to be impactful, because she was a very, very talented person, no two ways about it. Terribly sad childhood. So today we've been talking about Francois, I hope that's how I pronounced it right, Hardy, a singer-songwriter who was also an astrologer. And as I say, she wrote 4 books, so if you speak French, you'll be able to find them. I think it gives us the titles of the books. Le Grand Livre de la Virgo, so that's the one about Virgo. Entre la ligne, entre les signes. And then the third one is L'Astrologie Universelle. And then the last one is Les Rhythmes du Zodiaque. She also wrote 5 non-fiction books and 1 novel. So that's definitely the Virgo ascendant, and the ruler to it being Virgo, and the ruler to it being Mercury. That's a signature, can be, of somebody that's capable of writing and stuff. So today we've been discussing a chart, and I hope you're well, and I hope you have a fab week, and I'll be back next week. Bye bye now.